Hi, Avish. How are you?
Hi, Mike. Good to see you again.
Yeah, man. I know last week was our very first week we couldn't do something. It was historic, but I wasn't well. So how you been in general?
Yeah, I've been okay. Judging by the circumstance, being difficult, you know, uh, with the IPL postponement and stuff. Hasn't been much action around, so yeah, it's been difficult.
Yeah, it's good. It's good that you started with IPL because let's before we get into suspension, let's talk about the matches that did happen, like MSK versus Mumbai. That was quite a crackerjacker of a match. CSK made 218 for four, Mumbai 219 for six, and Pollard was the man of the match. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I guess if the IPL ended on that day, that would probably have been the match of the tournament, you know. But
Yeah.
we still got we still only at the halfway mark. So, but I would say definitely contender for match of the tournament. It was an absolute thriller. You know, CSK posting 219, and I mean, wow. Mumbai were in trouble at one
Hmm.
stage. They lost
Hmm.
2 wickets, but what an innings from Pollard! Wow, that guy is just amazing. Some of that
Yeah.
ball striking was incredible, and yeah, you almost got a sense that if Pollard was there, Mumbai were going to win, and yeah, it proved to be the case. You know, he gave CSK a few chances, but obviously they didn't capitalize on it, and in the end,
Hmm.
that proved the difference in the game. And yeah, if you look at the scorecard, you'd say Mumbai, you know, uh, won quite comfortably in the end. But it was by no means a comfortable chase, halfway
Yeah.
through.
Can-
Difficult
Yes.
because I think they were right behind the run rate at one stage. I mean, you look at 13, 14 over, but
Hmm.
Pollard, I mean, amazing. I mean, on each day he's that destructive, uh, and he can take a game away from you.
True, man. Okay, so the next one we look at is Rajasthan Royals versus Sunrisers. 220 for three, 165 for eight. Pretty much one-sided, but nice to see Joss Butler in form. I think he made a century there, so fantastic.
Yeah, incredible batting from Joss. I mean, we all know what he's capable of. We all know his potential. He hadn't quite shown it up till then, but yeah, I mean, he exploded in this game against a side
Hmm.
that's actually quite, that's been playing quite poorly in this tournament. That really been
Hmm.
struggling for form and trying to
Hmm.
get runs. Yeah,
Hmm.
it was quite a comfortable win for Rajasthan in the end. You
Yes.
never really thought Sunrisers were going to get close because they just lack that firepower. I feel they just don't have that
Yes.
firepower in their batting lineup to chase those big totals.
And they didn't
Uh,
have David Warner there, which made it worse for them.
yeah, I mean, controversial exclusion, dropping the captain
Yeah.
and the open. I mean, I would have thought probably dropping him completely would have been a bit harsh. But
Yeah.
obviously, captaincy wouldn't have been such a bad, decision. But geez, man, just letting him go and one of your, premier players in that
Hmm.
franchise, the sidelines. I mean, you're going to have a dog's chance of chasing that total down without Warner
Yeah,
in that.
man. Yeah, imagine Butler, imagine Bairstow and Warner together chasing that total. That would have been fun, man. But because Bairstow can't do it on his own, realistically, it's impossible. Hmm.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's a team effort, and I just don't feel they had anyone that could actually, sustain that sort of run chase in the end.
Hmm.
It's probably like 11, 12 and over. I mean, from the get go,
Yes.
it's very difficult. And once you lose a clutter of wickets, which they did, it's very difficult to get back into that game. And yeah, I mean, a great all-round performance from Rajasthan with the bat and then with the ball. I thought Morris was quite impressive again. So yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
he's actually doing justice to his price tag as the most expensive IPL play in the auction this season. And yeah, very well-rounded performance from Rajasthan in the end.
Okay, and the last match before this tournament was suspended was Punjab against Daredevils, and pretty one-sided by Daredevils, 7-wicket win. Mayank Agarwal was man of the match, but unlucky to not make his century there.
Yeah, look, I mean, this Delhi side, if you're not going to score enough runs on the board, you're not really going to trouble them. And, that's total. I don't think it would have been enough to test Delhi. I think you got to have at least, 175, 180 plus to trouble this batting lineup. They're quite consistent. And, I mean, if you take Agarwal's innings away from that Punjab lineup, I think it was quite a disappointing batting display from Punjab, to be honest. And I think Agarwal's score just in a way papered over the cracks there. I mean, they did miss KL up the order, but a few soft, that really compounded their woes there. And Punjab is a side that's actually blowing hot and cold in this tournament. So somewhat like they're not playing as bad as Sunrisers, but they just don't seem to be able to string two wins together. That's the issue. And I think I'd say the top four sides are really causing a lot of are really building a lot of daylight between them and the bottom four. So it would have been interesting to see how this was going to pan out, because my prediction would have been, I'd say that the top four probably would have went through. Just based on form and looking at the remaining fixtures that were to be taking place. And then it all came to a sudden halt there towards the end. But Punjab is a very inconsistent side in this tournament, and we've seen some brilliance from them, and we've seen some ordinary displays as well. But I mean, Delhi, probably the most consistent side in this tournament at the moment. I mean, they've been quite exciting to watch. Their bowling lineup, minus Nokia. I mean, Nokia has not been around, but they still managing to take a lot of wickets, because he can't get into this lineup. That's the thing, because the new kid, Khan. I mean, he's been superbly with the ball, and Rabada, I don't think we've seen the best of Rabada as yet, but I think
maybe they could have. Yeah, they could have probably rested him and put Nortke or something, but then I guess it would have been a gamble.
It is a gamble because Rabada is a match winner. I mean, we know that, and to drop him,
it's just rest him. Yeah, just to rest him a few matches. This is like you could have put Nortke against the team like Punjab or Sunrisers, just to ease him into it. I know that's kind of disrespectful, but you know what I'm saying.
To be honest with you, I think if you could probably drop a guy like Stoinis for Nokia, in conditions that probably would suit the seam attack. So I don't think Stoinis offers much of the ball. I think he offers more of the bat. But Delhi's that batting lineup is so strong. They could afford to drop one of these all-rounders and put in a pace bowler, just to balance things up there. But as I'm saying, it would have been interesting to see what would have transpired second half of this tournament, because it was actually building up to quite a interesting finale there.
Regarding the IPL suspension, were you thinking it was eventually going to happen with all the COVID cases rising, or do you think the players kind of out to blame in a way, like Varun Chakravarti kind of went outside the bubble and then he got infected? I think he went to a hospital and all that. So I feel that there was some negligence there by some of the players there that probably messed it up.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'd say there was a bit of naivety from most of the franchises and the organizers as well. I mean, to be fair, I don't think that bio bubble was that secure. I mean, if you look at players' movements and stuff, and I guess you can't really blame one player at the moment. You can't really blame one player because I mean, we all know what happened with the KKR camp, but then thereafter we were hearing cases from DC, and then we were hearing cases from CSK. So I think it was spreading quite rapidly. And to be fair, I mean, India was moving in the wrong direction at that point. I think they improved a bit now, but at that point they were moving in the wrong direction. And I think the organizers, in a way, probably should have, looked at probably just playing 3 venues and not having so much of, or just 2 venues. I mean, to be honest with you, if you want to have if you want to keep the tournament alive, you probably would have had to minimize the travel. And I think when DC and MI and CSK, they probably moved around from where they were initially in Chennai and Mumbai. I think that's where the trouble started, when they had to go to Delhi and start playing matches in Delhi, and that's where things broke out, because Delhi's cases were quite high at that stage, and also there was another venue in Ahmedabad as well that KKR were actually based, and RCB, including Delhi as DC as well. So yeah, I mean, Delhi was a hot spot, and to be fair, this IPL should never have went to Delhi at all. It should have stayed in Mumbai. It's and Chennai as well, because I think the cases were quite, I'd say it was controlled at that point, and the movement of the franchise actually compounded to this, with also some negligent behavior from certain players. I mean, I don't want to mention who those players were. I think we've seen it already in the news and stuff, but yeah, it's those issues that really compounded this tournament, and it's a massive loss, in a way, for television rights and stuff at this stage. I mean, it's still really uncertain as to who's going to be hosting the second half, but judging by what I saw in the last IPL and how well planned it was in the UAE, I mean, UAE would have definitely been a venue at the start of the tournament, and it wouldn't have had any interruptions up till then. We will most probably have been playing cricket up till now. So, hey, geez, man, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult with the international season and stuff that's going to take place. And I know there's a few cricket boards there that are actually priding the international season as opposed to the IPL at the moment. I know the ECB came up and said that their main priority for their players is the England national team. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they're going to scramble that second half of the IPL into an international season. Well, by no means is it going to be easy. It's going to be really, really difficult for the organizers and sponsors.
Yeah.
And the players themselves. I mean, traveling. I mean, yeah, it's really a pancake at the moment. I mean, how they're going to fit everything in? It's going to be really difficult. It's going to be difficult.
Yeah. Okay. So enough of IPL now. I don't know if you've seen the squad now for India touring to England. They'll be playing New Zealand as well. But should I tell you the players in the squad, or do you have an idea who's in the squad for the India traveling to England? Because I know Rohit Sharma. Sorry.
Yeah, I would say the regulars would probably be in the side. The likes of Rahane and Kohli. Sharma up the order.
No. Like what I was asking you was, like, do you know who was actually in the squad? Because I do have the list of names if you want me to tell you, or like, because I know that the standby player they have is Abhimanyu, E.A. Iswaran, Prasidh Krishna, Avish Khan, and Arzaz Nagaswala. Some of these standby players I've never heard of in my life. except a few of them. And
Yeah,
then,
I think we're quite familiar with Krishna and Avish Khan in the IPL.
yeah,
The other
yeah.
two, not too familiar.
And then I think it was a bit of a surprise. I think Hardik Pandya was omitted in the squad. And then there was, who was the other guy that got omitted? Besides Hardik Pandya, I think there was someone else. But it's nice that I think, yeah, the expected ones made it in the squad, like Akshar Patel, Washington Sundar, Bumrah, and then there's Shardul Thakur, Ridhiman Saha, and then KL Rahul is also there, but that's subject to fitness clearance and all that stuff. So I think, but like, what did you think of the squad though that got selected? It was,
Look, to be honest, I think India is probably going to take their strongest team to England because
mm,
it's really going to be a difficult tour for them in those
yes,
conditions. But
mm,
I'd say the one plus for them, the World Test Championship being moved to a Rose Bowl, that probably
mm,
would even out the contest in a bit because if it was at
mm,
Lord's on that green top, I'd probably put New Zealand, just
mm,
as my favorites, you know,
yeah,
in those conditions. But yeah, moving it to Southampton, it would probably even the playing field a bit there. Uh,
definitely.
I'm still surprised of why they actually moved it from Lord because I mean that was probably the standout fixture.
I think it was because of the venue itself at Southampton, whereby the distancing of the hotels to the ground, I think it's more biosecure. I think they've done many matches there, I think. So I think it was more easier for them to do it like that, if
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what
I
I
guess
mean.
I guess you're right in a way, but I mean UK is vaccination program has been really successful so far in terms of the number of vaccinations that they've
Yeah.
been able uh, to give to residents and citizens. So uh, I don't really think COVID would be such a big issue. It's depending
Mm.
how many how many people they obviously allow into the stadium. I'm not sure they're going to be
Yes.
allowing any national fans as apart from the players. But I would say, I mean, it's obviously the decision of the ICC to obviously move that venue. But BCCI also has a lot of influence in these
Mm.
terms in these sort of decisions. So I wouldn't be surprised if they obviously use their use their powers there and move this to the Rose Bowl. But I think Lords would have been probably a good contest as well. It would have been a good test for India as well. At Lords, playing New Zealand,
I think it's
heading
more with the. Mm. I think it
into
was
that.
more with. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Basically, what I'm saying, it would have been good preparation for India playing New Zealand at Lords, as opposed to the Rose Bowl, in terms of their preparation for the England series, which is a huge series,
Oh yeah.
which consists of 5 tests. Yeah, so uh, yeah, it's gonna be a tough series for India. I think they performed quite well in Australia, but Australia probably didn't play to their potential as well. I would say in that series in terms of the ball stuff, but I don't think England are going to leave anything to chance in this series as well. So it's
Mm.
you can expect that England side to be highly competitive at home. It's going to be
Mm.
a challenge for India, but by no means can you really discount them with the form they've been in, and it's just going to be a great contest between two quality sides in the end.
Yeah, I think if we have to do quick prediction, I think India versus New Zealand, now that it's going to be in Southampton, I think you see the problem is New Zealand will be more at an advantage because they would have played, England, and they would have also done their practice sessions there already in England by now, and they would have been more prepared. So I think they should be obviously they will be slight favorites, but India, after winning against Australia and beating England at home, I think, and India are so good at planning, I think it'll be even, but I'll give New Zealand probably the favorites for that one.
yeah, I guess New Zealand are probably going to be traveling there much earlier to acclimatize to conditions, and
Mm.
I mean they've got a competent team bowling attack as well. So uh,
Mm.
yeah, I mean it's a bit surprising. I mean this World Test Championship and stuff. If this were to end in a draw, which is quite likely as well, uh, I guess you'd probably want to prepare a wicket that's going to give you a result. But I mean, there's no team that would want to lose that with that game. So even if they like out of that game, they'll try and fight to stay in the game and try to salvage something. So you really can't
Mm.
discount a draw as well. So I guess if it's a draw, they're
Yeah.
going to share the trophy. Am I right?
Mm. I'm not sure, eh? That's a good one, actually. It might actually happen that way, actually. Or it could be that the team that got the most points between the two might take the trophy. Who knows? I'll probably have to research that,
I think
actually.
that's a bit unfair. Yeah, I would say that's a bit unfair to be honest with you, because I mean, New Zealand. Let's be honest, New Zealand haven't played too many away tours. They played a lot of
Mm.
series at home. They've
Mm.
been. I mean, I would say for the majority part quite untested. I'd say in the series against West Indies, they won that quite comfortably, and then Pakistan as well. They won that one quite comfortably.
Mm.
I think the last series they were actually beaten was when they went to Australia. Um,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they got a
yeah,
thumping there.
they got beaten quite badly there, and
Um,
India as well. I mean, India were really testing Australia by all means. I mean, the way they fought and actually came back in that series was quite historic. Um, but I think against
yeah.
England at home, apart from the first test, pretty one-sided, you know.
Yeah.
But look, I mean, if this Indian team can do well in England and then come to South Africa and do well in South Africa, I mean, you can really rate them as probably one of the best, of all time. So, yeah, I guess the jury is still out in terms of their away form in certain conditions, but
Yeah.
let's see how it goes. I mean, as you say, their planning is uh, is quite strong. The way they plan for tours. So I'm sure they're gonna take a wide pool of players that they know that can do well in those conditions. So
Yeah.
look,
Yeah. I think. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I actually interrupted you. Oh, what were you going to say?
yeah, I mean England is quite seamer friendly conditions. So you got to take a
Mm.
good. I don't think the same sort of team that won them tests against England at home would probably be the sort of team that you'd want to take to play tests in England. I think you've got to have a good seam attack there, and
Mm. Mm.
batsmen have obviously got to be get used to the conditions in terms of the pace and bounce in those wickets. But
Yeah.
I would say England is probably more swing. Eh? I think the swinging
Mm.
conditions are the most challenging in England as opposed to
Yes.
pace and bounce. I would say
Yeah.
you get more pace and bounce back home in SA on certain
Mm.
wickets, especially in the Wanderers and
Mm.
Centurion, where it is
Mm.
quite troublesome for batsmen. But
Mm.
yeah, not so much in England. I would say. I'd say the swinging conditions, and I mean you've got two exponents. I mean you've got Anderson and Broad that are experts in those conditions.
Mm.
So that to me
Mm.
is the real challenge for India. But yeah, it's going to be a really absorbing and close series.
I think before we go to India and England in terms of prediction, I think England versus New Zealand, you expecting England to easily win that? I know that's quite disrespectful towards New Zealand, as they are going to be playing the finals, but should we expect England to obviously win that?
It's an
Okay.
interesting one because there's a couple of those senior players from New Zealand that are not going to be on that
Mm.
tour
Mm.
or for the first two tests.
And the same
So
thing
they're
for
going to play
England as well. I think England
yeah,
also
yeah. So they're
rested
going to
some
play.
players,
They're going
so
to play a bit of a weakened side.
yeah.
But I mean, New Zealand in England, you really can't discount them. I mean, with their bowling lineup that they have at the moment, at present, that it can compete with probably the best in the world at the moment. So yeah, I mean England would be favourites, no doubt about it, playing at home in those conditions. If New Zealand can win one test in that series, that would be quite an achievement for them, and would give them a lot of confidence going into that World Test Championship final, which I think would probably play in their favour because I think they're going in as slight underdogs. To be honest with you, I think India is a side that's probably has a lot to lose. To be honest with you, in terms of not winning this match, so they can obviously play. They can be a little bit more relaxed in that game there, and just stick to their strengths and they can come good there.
Okay, I know that Rahul Dravid has predicted India to obviously beat England 3-2. We feel that they're a lot more confident because of the wins in Australia and beating England at home. Do you think that's going to happen?
To be honest with you, I don't think that's a really good prediction because you really can't judge what happened in India compared to what's going to happen in England. England is totally different conditions. I'm not sure when last India won 3 tests in England, to be honest with you. I'm not sure when last any team won 3 tests in England. That's a really bold prediction. I would say it's going to be much closer. I'm saying it's going to be much closer. I think England have a lot to prove at home against India. So I would put them as favourites in that game. And I think they would probably use conditions better than what Australia used in their series, because I think Australia were really, really wasteful in the way they bowled to India in that series. I mean, the amount of short bowling that they, deployed in that series really wasn't, it really didn't help them at all, They would get wickets in that final, the 40 innings of the test match and stuff. So I don't think England are going to be bowling that sort of length to India. I think it's going to be, a good length, a fuller length that's going to get the ball swinging and causing the Indian side. That's going to be causing the Indian batsmen a lot of problems. Not so much the short bowling, because I think the Indians probably they've really improved in the way that they play short bowling, but I think the swinging delivery is going to be causing them a lot more problems. So I expect England to use conditions better than what Australia did in their series at home.
But then what would be your prediction? Are you thinking 2-1 to England or 3-1 like last time? I think it was 3-1 to England last time.
It's very difficult to give you a prediction. I mean, a series, prediction. But I can safely say this, that I predict England to win the series. By what margin, I really can't tell you. England, India are really improved side away from home. So my prediction would be an England win in the Test series. I mean, over 5 tests, it's going to be difficult to stop the home side over 5 tests. That's sometime they're really going to find form in that series, and they're going to ram home the advantage. Which is what you saw in the series at home in India. What I'm trying to say is, which is exactly what you saw at home against England in India, where India started the series a little slow, but as they built some momentum, they just ran home the advantage. So I expect the same thing to happen in England. So it's going to be a bit of a test for India, but I think they're going to compete quite well. But I mean, over 5 tests, man, it's difficult to point against England not winning the series.
I think India won't mind winning that series either way, whether it's 2-1, 3-1. I think India probably winning a 2-1 or 3-1, because there will be a draw along the way. But either way, I won't be surprised if whoever wins the series. I mean, they're both 2 quality teams, and my heart is probably saying India, but the mind obviously know that England are the favorites. So, okay, well, my last segment to you is: do you think the World Cup will still take the T20 World Cup? Do you think it'll still take place in India, or do you think it'll be shifted to UAE?
That's a real difficult one. Hey, I think you got to take it day by day, month by month, and just have a look at how India are actually uh, coping with the pandemic. So I think they'd probably decide by say August or September if India are in a good state and they can host this tournament because um, look, I don't think it's a very long tournament to be honest with you. There's going to be games that's going to be played every day. You might get two games in a day. So, my gut feel is telling me that this might be moved to UAE
Yeah.
just because there's some cricket boards out there that are not happy with the way things are operating in India. And I think they've lost a bit of confidence with regards to how the IPL was actually controlled by the BCCI in India,
Yeah.
which I mean, we all know was a bit of a failure.
Hmm.
hence being postponed. So I would say the safer bet, for players and personnel and coaching staff and fans as well would probably be the UAE. Yeah, I would say UAE would probably be a much safer bet here.
Um, okay, I think there have been rumors that the IPL could be done towards the end of the year if there is a possible schedule. I think there have also been possibility that it could be shifted to parts of England or parts of Sri Lanka. Or what are your thoughts? Do you think the IPL could be finished this year, somewhere toward the end of the year, or do you think it's impossible?
Look, it has to. It has to. I mean, by all means, it has to be completed somehow. And I think England is probably the better venue in terms of getting, I mean, hosting the balance of the IPL because I think their vaccination is, their
Hmm.
vaccination plans, it's going ahead so well. And I
Hmm.
would say by September, October, majority of the nation would be vaccinated, fully vaccinated.
Yeah.
So uh, UK is definitely the option for the remaining of the IPL. And I mean, who knows? Even the T20 World Cup. I mean, I wouldn't discount it, but I'd say UAE probably favorites for the T20 World Cup, and the UK probably favorites to host the balance of the IPL.
Hey, I think that's pretty much a wrap, hey? Thanks so much for your time, my friend.
Thanks, mate. Chat to you soon. Cheers.